If a woman gives you her respect without you ever having to ask for it, you're carrying something rare as a man. I'm not talking about the kind of respect that's bought with money or manipulated with charm. I mean the kind of respect that just happens quietly, subtly, and without effort, because she feels something when she's around you. Something stable, something strong, something uncommon. Most men today are chasing validation. They think if they show off enough, flatter enough, agree enough, they'll win her over. But a woman doesn't respect a man who's always trying to prove himself. She might entertain him. She might even use him. But she won't follow him. She won't admire him because deep down she knows the truth. He's compensating. He's posturing. He doesn't actually own himself. He's renting confidence from whatever gets him attention. But when a man walks into a room and doesn't need anything from it, when he doesn't shrink to fit in and doesn't puff up to impress, she feels that. He doesn't have to say he's confident. He is confident, not in the loud chest beating kind of way, but in the kind of way that makes other people adjust around him. He knows where he stands. He's not trying to steal anyone's spotlight because he is the spotlight, not because he wants to be, but because he's aligned with something deeper than himself. A woman will always respond to that alignment, even if she doesn't understand it, because instinctively she knows what it means. She knows you're not led by impulse or insecurity or ego. She sees that you lead yourself. And that's the difference. A man who leads himself doesn't need to lead her. She chooses to follow not out of submission, but out of trust. Because that's what real respect is rooted in, trust. She trusts how you move. She trusts that your words mean something. She sees that you're not swayed by moods or temptations or trends. You carry order in a world full of chaos. And she sees that even if she doesn't say it. This doesn't mean you're perfect. You might stumble. You might fail. But you own it. You don't hide. You don't blame. You take responsibility for your ground and you keep standing. That's where the rare thing comes in, because so many men today have been trained out of that. They've been told to be nice instead of strong, tolerant instead of truthful, harmless instead of honorable. But women don't respond to harmlessness. They don't respect weakness wrapped in politeness. They might tolerate it. They might feel sorry for it, but they don't respect. What they respect is a man who's solid emotionally, mentally, spiritually. A man who doesn't flinch when tested, who doesn't collapse under pressure, who holds a boundary with calmness, not anger. And here's the secret most men miss. When a woman senses that you don't need her to respect you, she's far more likely to offer it. Because it's no longer about you fishing for it, it's about her recognizing something rare. If you're not trying to impress her, you're too busy being something impressive, quietly, consistent. Think about that. You're not begging for a seat at her table. You're building your own table. And if she wants to pull up a chair, she will. But if she doesn't, you're still eating. You're still grounded in your mission, not floating in her opinion. Now, when she sees that, truly sees it, something shifts. Her energy softens. Her posture around you becomes more receptive. Not because you asked her to change, because something in you gave her permission to relax, to lean in, to let go of the need to test, to guard, to lead. Because now she's in the presence of a man who already knows who he is. And nothing is more magnetic than that. That's the kind of man a woman respects without needing to be told how. That's the kind of man who doesn't have to raise his voice or puff his chest or play games to get her attention. She just gives it freely because she can feel the weight of who he is. And it's real. So if you ever notice that a woman starts treating you differently, if her tone becomes more measured, her attitude more thoughtful, her eyes more focused, don't get cocky, get clear. It means you're carrying something most men don't. Something she can't quite name, but can definitely feel. And if you keep carrying that, keep nurturing it, keep sharpening it, the world will adjust and she will too. Not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. If you've ever been with a woman who seems to soften in your presence, not out of fear, not out of submission, but like something in her is finally able to exhale, you're carrying something rare as a man. That kind of reaction doesn't come from charm or good looks or having the right words. It comes from being centered, grounded, present. You see, most people, men and women, are walking around unsettled, nervous systems fried, emotions all over the place, minds scattered by distractions, fears, and stories they don't even realize they're living in. So when a man comes along who isn't pulled by all that noise, it changes the entire dynamic. Because it's not just about how you behave, it's about how you exist. Your state affects her state. If you're calm, she gets calmer. If you're anchored, she starts to release the need to control everything. If you're solid, she feels safe enough to let go. That's the truth a lot of men overlook. A woman will mirror the energy of the man she's with. If you're anxious, indecisive, emotionally reactive, she will pick that up and amplify it. Not because she wants to, but because it's in her nature to reflect. But if she's around a man who holds a steady internal rhythm, not numbed out, not indifferent, but truly present, she naturally leans into that. Her guard drops, her voice softens, her feminine energy starts to rise. And here's where it gets interesting. You can't fake that. You can't act grounded and expect her to respond the same way. She'll see right through it. She might not know why she doesn't trust it, but she'll feel that something's off. Women are incredibly intuitive, especially when it comes to a man's energy. They can feel when your stillness is real and when it's a mask. But if it's real, if you've done the work to regulate yourself, to confront your own fears, to sit with discomfort without needing to escape, she feels that on a level that goes beyond logic. Her body knows it, her instincts respond. Because now, finally, she doesn't have to be in control. She doesn't have to lead or fight or scan the room for threats. She can rest. And that's something most women don't get to experience often because so many men are too unsteady to hold that space. Now, this isn't about being passive or quiet. It's not about being the guy who's chill but disconnected. It's about being fully there, aware, alive, but not thrown off by the moment. You're not reacting to everything she says. You're listening. You're not trying to fix her emotions or escape them. You're just with her. That alone is healing. Because when a woman is emotional, most men either shut down or try to control the situation. They can't hold it. They get overwhelmed, take it personally, or try to fix her just to calm their own nerves. But the rare man doesn't flinch. He stays, not to manipulate the outcome, not to prove something, but because that's who he is. He's built from something steady. His emotions don't own him. His thoughts don't spin him out. He has a center, and he lives from it. You know what really throws someone off after they've hurt you? When you don't chase revenge, and instead you chase your evolution. That's where the real confusion begins, because she thought you were going to collapse, maybe even spiral. She thought she broke something inside you. What she never saw coming was that she actually built something. And that something is a sharper, more dangerous version of you. Let me say it straight. Don't waste your time trying to get even. Don't try to make her feel what she made you feel. That's small energy. That's emotional laziness. What you do instead is turn every ounce of that pain into progress. You let the betrayal be a spark, not a wound. You let it ignite your transformation, not your destruction. When a woman hurts you, she expects a reaction that keeps you stuck in her story. But when you start upgrading your life instead, when you turn that pain into purpose, she suddenly doesn't know what role she plays anymore. And that's powerful. Because the moment she no longer recognizes the man in front of her, the man who's focused, improving, thriving, she's forced to confront the truth. Her actions didn't break you, they built you. So take the pain and invest it. Not in arguments, not in explanations, not in trying to fix her or make her understand. Invest it in your fitness, your finances, your faith, your freedom. You want to confuse her? Start living in a way that makes her feel like she was just a chapter, not the whole book. Start making progress so undeniable that she has to sit with the realization she underestimated the man she walked away from or tried to play. And listen, this isn't about pretending you're okay. It's not about putting on a mask and faking confidence. It's about putting in the work behind closed doors until your life starts speaking louder than your emotions. Because here's the truth. Success is the only closure you ever need. You don't have to say a word. Your discipline, your glow up, your refusal to fold, that is the message. You become unpredictable when you grow in silence. She expected you to fall apart publicly, to vent on social media, to lash out. Instead, you're in the gym, you're building that business, you're locking in with your purpose, you're not posting cryptic quotes or trying to get her attention, you're disappearing from her drama and reappearing in a life she can't reach. And you know what happens next? She starts watching. Maybe not directly, maybe not with a phone call or a message, but she watches. They always do, because curiosity is born from confusion. She'll wonder how you moved on so fast, why you look so focused, what happened to the version of you she thought she broke. But that's not your concern anymore, because now you're moving different. You're building something real, something she wasn't ready for, but you were. You just needed the pain to activate it. That hurt. It was a wake-up call. It reminded you of what you've been sleeping on, your own potential. And that's the part most men miss. They get caught trying to make someone feel guilty instead of realizing the hurt was a catalyst. You were supposed to outgrow that situation. You were supposed to evolve past her. Pain is not the enemy, it's the teacher, but only if you're willing to learn instead of linger. So let her be confused. Let her sit in that uncertainty. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her an explanation for your glow up. You owe yourself the next level. You owe yourself the discipline to take what was meant to break you and turn it into something that builds you. Every time she thinks about how things ended, she should be met with a version of you she can't access anymore. Not because you hate her, not because you're bitter, but because you upgraded so far past the situation that the door isn't even locked. It's just not there anymore. And that's the best kind of confusion. Quiet, clean, unapologetic. She thought she left you in pieces, but the truth is, she just left you in progress. There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from weakness or confusion. It comes from strength, from clarity, from the deep inner knowing that not everything deserves your response. When a woman hurts you, one of the most confusing things you can do is say nothing. Not because you're scared, not because you don't know what to say, but because you've realized that your energy is too valuable to be thrown at someone who tried to diminish it. See, most people are addicted to reaction. They thrive off it. They do things not just to hurt you, but to provoke you, to make you unravel, to pull you into an emotional arena where they control the tempo, the narrative, the story. That's why silence is so disarming. It breaks the script. It forces her to sit in the echo of her own actions without your words rushing in to explain, defend, or beg. And that silence starts working on her mind. Because when you don't respond, she's left with her own thoughts. She's left wondering what you're thinking, how much you saw, whether or not you even care. The lack of closure becomes the closure. And that's the point. It's not your job to help her sleep at night after she disrupted your peace. That's her burden now, not yours. But silence isn't just about her. It's also about you. It's about creating space for healing, space for growth, space for self-respect. When you go quiet, you're not just walking away from the drama, you're walking toward yourself. You're reclaiming your time, your focus, your identity. Because the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who don't value you, you start becoming more of who you were meant to be. You want to confuse her? Don't send the long text. Don't try to make her understand. Just remove yourself. Disappear from her emotional circus. Let her talk to the version of you that no longer responds. That's where the real confusion begins, when she realizes that the man who used to explain everything now explains nothing. And I get it, silence can feel like a loss at first, especially when you're hurt, especially when everything inside you wants to say something, prove something, get the last word. But the truth is that last word doesn't mean anything if it costs you your dignity. Because the real win isn't in what you say, it's in what you no longer feel the need to say. Some people will only learn the value of your voice when they can no longer hear it. When they sit in a quiet room and realize they pushed away a man who had every reason to lash out, but chose discipline instead. That silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. Let her wonder. Let her sit with the silence. Let her try to fill in the blanks. Because in that silence, something starts to shift. The power dynamic reverses. You're no longer reacting to her actions. You're not playing the emotional game. You're in control, not of her, but of you. And that's the kind of control most men never tap into because they're too busy trying to be heard, too busy trying to win a fight that should have never started. But you're different. You've learned that the man who controls his tongue controls his world. That silence isn't the absence of power. It's the highest form of it. You don't need to scream to be seen. You don't need to argue to be respected. Sometimes the most commanding thing you can do is walk away without saying a word. So when she hurts you, don't give her the drama she's used to. Don't fall into the emotional trap. Don't become the man she expected you to be in her script. Go silent, not to punish, but to protect. Protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your future from the past, trying to pull it back. And if she ever reaches out, confused by your silence, looking for answers, looking for that version of you who used to react, let your absence answer for you. There's something unshakable about a man who knows who he is. Not in a loud, boastful way, but in that quiet, grounded presence that says, I don't move unless I choose to. When a woman hurts you, the first thing she tries, whether consciously or not, is to see if she can shake your frame, to test your center. And if she sees you collapse emotionally, chasing, begging, or reacting from pain instead of principle, she knows she's in control. That's the game, whether we like it or not. But here's what really throws everything off. When she realizes she can't move you, not because you don't feel, but because your frame is built on something stronger than her approval. That's when confusion sets in. That's when she starts questioning everything, not because you said something slick or clever, but because your actions, and more importantly, your stillness, reveal something deeper. The masculine frame isn't about domination. It's not about being cold, distant, or robotic. It's about being anchored. Imagine a tree planted deep into the earth. Wind can blow, storms can crash, but the roots don't move. That's you. When you hold your frame after being hurt, you send a message not only to her, but to yourself. I lead my emotions, they don't lead me. The average man tries to negotiate respect after he's already lost it. He gets hurt, reacts impulsively, says things he doesn't mean, then tries to patch it all up with explanations. That's not leadership, that's emotional debt. And the more you chase after her to fix it, the more you teach her that your center depends on her validation. That's the death of masculine power. But when you stand firm in who you are, even in the middle of pain, she doesn't know how to respond, because the moment she expected chaos and got composure instead, the narrative broke. You're not arguing, you're not blaming, you're not trying to win her back, you're simply standing there, focused, grounded, building, moving. It's not that you don't care, it's that you care about yourself enough not to lose yourself in someone else's drama. That's what frame is. It's not an act, it's alignment. It's when your words, your energy, and your presence all speak the same message. I'm not here to be controlled by anyone's storm. And don't think she doesn't feel that shift. Women are incredibly intuitive. She'll sense it. She'll feel the change in your vibe, in your responses, in your boundaries. It will confuse her, maybe even frustrate her, because she'll realize something she didn't expect. You're no longer emotionally available for manipulation. That access has been revoked. And in that moment, you gain back something far more valuable than her attention. You gain back your self-respect. And once you have that, everything starts to change. You stop being reactionary, you start being intentional, you stop needing her to understand your worth, because now finally you understand it. And let's be real. When you hold your frame, it's not just her that takes notice. Your friends, your coworkers, even your enemies start treating you differently. People sense when a man is anchored. He speaks less, but what he says carries more weight. He's not chasing, not begging, not performing. He's choosing. Every word, every move, chosen. Not spilled out of insecurity, but delivered from clarity. That kind of presence, that kind of energy, it's rare and it's powerful. It's the kind of energy that makes her rethink her actions, that makes her question her assumptions. She thought you'd crumble. Instead, you got quiet, focused, and leveled up. And maybe now she's watching. Maybe now she's second-guessing everything. But here's the part that matters. You didn't hold frame to get her back. You held frame because that's who you are now. You don't bend for attention. You don't fold for comfort. You don't abandon yourself to be chosen by someone else. That version of you is gone. And what stands in his place is a man who doesn't chase chaos, he commands peace. So when she hurts you, don't chase, don't argue, don't fall apart, hold your frame, and let her feel what it's like to lose a man who never lost himself. The best way to confuse someone who's hurt you is to show them that they didn't break you, they just sparked your evolution. They thought they'd have the upper hand, that their actions would define you, drag you down, make you smaller. But here's the reality. The right kind of pain doesn't diminish a man, it sharpens him. And if you know how to channel that hurt into something better, something bigger, then you're not just surviving the experience, you're thriving because of it. So what does it look like to use the pain of being hurt by a woman as fuel for your growth? It looks like taking that raw energy, the anger, the disappointment, the frustration, and redirecting it into something that amplifies you. This is where most men go wrong. They wallow. They seek validation. They focus on trying to fix the situation, to make her see how much she hurt them. But all that energy, all that time spent chasing her approval only keeps them tethered to her. And that's the trap. Instead, you need to make the decision that you are not going to be defined by what she did. You are going to be defined by how you respond. So take that pain and invest it somewhere that's going to pay you back in dividends, your body, your mind, your future. Go to the gym. Push yourself. Get stronger, more disciplined. Create, build, grow. The best kind of revenge you can take on someone who's tried to hurt you is to show them the version of you they thought they could destroy, but didn't. Because here's the thing about growth. It's unpredictable. It's uncomfortable. And when you grow in silence, when you make progress without broadcasting it to the world, it leaves people guessing. She won't understand how you bounced back so quickly. She won't understand why the version of you she hurt seems more untouchable now than ever. She'll try to make sense of it, but she won't be able to. She'll be confused by your ability to transform, to rise higher from what she thought would bury you. And this is where your power lies. It lies in the fact that your response wasn't what she expected. She thought you'd be bitter. She thought you'd be resentful. She thought you'd dwell on what happened and get caught up in a spiral of pain. Instead, you used that moment of hurt to fuel your growth. You didn't just get over it. You got better because of it. Let me put it this way. When someone hurts you, they're expecting you to fight for them, to make them feel sorry, or to show them how much they've wronged you. But when you don't do that, when you don't chase her validation, you take the power back because you're not playing her game. You're creating a new one. You're turning your hurt into a tool for something far greater than anything she could ever offer. So focus on yourself. Don't let your mind wander to what went wrong or how she treated you. That's all secondary. What matters is how you use that experience to dive into something that will improve you physically, mentally, and emotionally. Learn a new skill, start a new business, work on your health, go out and explore the world. The more you invest in your own evolution, the less space you leave for her actions to occupy your mind. You're too busy building the man you were always meant to be. And the more you grow, the more she's going to notice. She won't be able to help it. She'll see your transformation, and she won't be able to understand how a person who once seemed so vulnerable, so open to her manipulation, is now standing firm, so much more capable, more unshakable. She'll wonder where the man she hurt went. And that confusion will stick with her because people can never fully understand something they didn't cause or control. And the longer she's left with that confusion, the harder it is for her to reconcile the version of you she thought she knew with the man you've become. But this isn't about her anymore. This is about you. It's about realizing that pain doesn't have to be a setback. It can be a catalyst. It can be the thing that pushes you toward your true potential. And in a way, you owe her gratitude for showing you just how far you can go when you stop letting life's challenges define you and instead you let them refine you. The more you focus on your own growth, the more you will realize that the person who hurt you no longer has any hold over you. She might not understand why or how you've transformed, but that's not your concern anymore. What matters is that you've used the situation as an opportunity to become someone greater. And that version of you, the man who thrives despite the pain, who rises above it and becomes more powerful because of it, is the one who will walk away with the last word. So let her be confused. Let her wonder how you became the man she never thought you could be. And let that confusion be the reminder that while she tried to break you, all she really did was push you to become something she'll never recognize. When you stop seeking her approval, when you stop bending to her will, when you stop chasing her affection and validation, something truly profound happens. You enter a different kind of power. It's the kind of power that doesn't require explanation. It doesn't need to be validated by anyone else. It's the kind of power that is deeply rooted in knowing exactly who you are and not needing anyone's confirmation of that fact. The moment you stop needing her to recognize your worth, that's when you truly reclaim your energy. Because the truth is, you don't need her to apologize. You don't need her to admit her faults. You don't need any of those external gestures to feel whole again. You just need to understand that your worth was never dependent on her in the first place. It's a profound shift, a complete 180 in how you perceive the situation. When you're constantly seeking someone else's approval, you're operating from a place of scarcity. You're saying, I'm not enough unless she sees my value. And that kind of thinking only keeps you trapped in a cycle of seeking external validation. You keep offering your energy, your time, your focus, and it feels like you're constantly giving pieces of yourself away, hoping that someone will eventually recognize what you've given. But when you stop that chase, when you stop needing her to approve or apologize, that's when the game changes. You are not defined by her. You are not defined by the way she treated you. You are not defined by the mistakes she made, the hurt she caused, or the things she failed to see in you. You define yourself. And in that space of self-dignitization, there is an incredible freedom. What happens is this. When you let go of the need for approval, you start to move differently. You start to live for yourself, not for the reaction of others. You stop needing to be validated because you're already validated by your own actions, your own standards, your own growth. And that's powerful. That's magnetic. But here's the catch. When you stop needing her approval, you also stop needing anyone's approval. You become less concerned with what others think of you because you've already made peace with who you are. This isn't arrogance. It's the recognition that you are worthy, whole, and complete, regardless of whether or not anyone acknowledges it. It's the power of self-reliance. It's the strength to walk your own path, independent of the opinions of others. When you stop chasing validation, you stop putting the weight of your self-worth on someone else's shoulders. You stop letting their actions, whether positive or negative, dictate how you feel about yourself. And that's when you really begin to understand what it means to be free. Because here's the thing, no one can hurt you if you don't let them. Not in the way they think, anyway. They can act, they can hurt you, they can say things that cut deep, but if you no longer require their validation to feel whole, then their actions lose their power over you. They only have the power you give them. And as you step into this space, you begin to notice something interesting. People, especially women, are drawn to that kind of energy. When you stop seeking their approval, you become more attractive. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're living in your truth. You're living in your own power. You're living as the man who understands his worth without anyone needing to reflect it back to him. This doesn't mean you shut yourself off from love, from connection, or from relationships. What it means is that you stop looking to others to complete you. You stop depending on them for your happiness, your validation, or your sense of self. You become whole on your own. You realize that the only person who truly needs to approve of you is you. Once you've mastered that, once you've embraced your own worth, everything else is just a bonus. It's no longer something you need. It's something you can freely give or not, depending on where you are, who you're with, and whether or not it aligns with your values and purpose. This is what true freedom feels like. The ability to exist without needing anyone's approval, without bending to someone else's will. It's the ability to walk through life with your head high, knowing that no one can take away your peace unless you allow them to. And when you get to that point, you don't just confuse her, you confuse the world. Because in a world that thrives on chasing approval, you've become the one who doesn't need anyone's permission to be himself. So when she hurts you, and when she tries to pull you into her drama, don't fold. Don't seek her validation. Don't chase her back. Just stand firm in the knowledge that you are enough, that you are worthy of peace, that you are enough regardless of whether or not she sees it. You don't need anyone to tell you what your value is. You already know.